So, alright. Now I'm gonna have a clearer image in a second, so I just need to get to the first little tidbit, which is right here. Alright, so we're starting from here. The 35th Wonder of China, the Tomb of the First Emperor. I'm glad you could join us tonight. And let us begin reading. Welcome, Darcy. The quote above. We were witnessing one of the most spectacular excavations of this century. Audrey Topping, 1978. In 1978, when Audrey Topping of National Geographic visited the Terracotta Army sites for the first time, confronted with the sight of thousands of life-size, 2,200-year-old pottery warriors, she stood in the rain and was moved almost to tears. But in fact, the Terracotta Army is only a small part of the 180 burial pits of Emperor Qing Shanghudi's mausoleum. So far, within the area of 56.25 square kilometers, archaeologists have found millions of square meters of palace ruins, hundreds of ancestral tombs, and burial pits. Welcome Ying Ying Baby, and welcome everyone else to the live stream. Glad you could join us tonight. We're in the middle of the second paragraph. At hundreds of accessory tombs and burial pits. Unearthed thousands of terracotta warriors and horses. Dozens of pottery acrobat figures, bronze birds, and stone armors, and 2 sets of bronze chariots, as well as a large number of other rare artifacts. All these treasures were unknown for thousands of years until archaeologists trolls cleared the soil covering them. It was no surprise that Peter Hesser wrote, "There is so much history here that it literally rises out of the ground." Emperor Qing Shanghundi, the first emperor of China, conquered the other 6 states after 10 years of war, and in 2201 BC founded the first unified feudal empire in Chinese history. He promulgated a uniform code of law and standardized currency, weights, and measurements, the written language, and the axle length of wagons and chariots. The Qing capital, Xinjiang, and joined up with the previous separate defensive walls of states into the Great Wall. Welcome, hello Jane, and welcome everyone else to the live stream. Glad you could join us tonight. We are on the tomb of the first emperor. For his personal glorification, besides building a number of elaborate palaces near his capital, Emperor Qing Shanghundi also built an underground palace for his afterlife. Qing Shanghudi's mausoleum lies 35 kilometers east of the city of Xi'an, Shi Province. The tomb was 38 years in the making, having been begun only a year after his coronation. There are several reasons why the emperor chose Lishang Mountain as his burial place. Welcome Sydney Chow to the live stream. Glad you could join us tonight. We are on the tomb of the first emperor. Welcome Fan Xiaoyu to the live stream. Glad you could join us tonight. The geometric omens for this area were ideal, with the mountains in the south and the Wei River in the north. Also, the tombs of Qing Shangdi's ancestors were located here. The emperor's tomb, mount now 76 meters in height, and was originally enclosed by rectangular inner and outer walls, respectively. We get a few clues from written records about the underground palace of the tomb, although, let's see. Alright, let's go on to the next little page here. There it is. So, welcome Zoe1, and welcome everyone else to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight, and I am pleased to welcome you all here. The entire mausoleum remains to be explored and excavated. According to Sima Chang, who wrote his Records of the Grand Historian some 100 years after the emperor's death, the ceiling of the tomb chamber is a model of the heavens, and its floor a topographical map of the entire empire, with circulating Mercury to represent the waters of the earth. Jewels and other treasures were buried within, are guarded by crossbows triggered by triggered by release of arrows at any intruder. So, Sydney Chow, this is it's not necessarily a history book. This is more of a kind of facts book. And this is facts about the tomb of the first emperor. Hello back, Zoe. Welcome Nick Liu and welcome 191 to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. Yep, it's all about China. This entire book is about China. There were earlier parts. The first wonder were the mountains. This wonder is the tomb of the first emperor. There is an earlier wonder about philosophy, and there is a later wonder specifically about the resource of jade. So let us move forward with the perfect. Let us move forward with the live stream then. A geographical survey of in the 1980s proved that there was an area of 1,200 square meters of unnatural concentrations of mercury in the area under the tumulus. Welcome 5EA to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. Sydney Chow, I have actually not been to China, but I have a lot of books on Chinese history that I have read through on occasion. In March 1964. Alright, welcome, I Miss You. It's an interesting name. Welcome back, Ying Ying Baby. I'm glad you could join us tonight. In March 1974, local villagers unearthed a number of fragments of terracotta warriors and horses when they dug a well in a field 1.5 kilometers east of the mausoleum, the area now called Pit 1. After the discovery of Pit 1, Pit 2 and Pit 3 were found in May and June 1976, respectively. Excavations show that all three pits of life-size pottery figures were originally roofed over the lined with framework of earth and wood, which collapsed long ago. All the pits were damaged, the first two burnt, possibly by the rebel forces under General Xing Yu. As a result, most of the pottery figures were reduced to fragments. Pit 1. Oh, next page. Welcome back, Woodrow. I'm glad you could join us tonight. We are on the tomb of the first emperor. And let's go to our next section here. Pit 1 is 230 meters from the east to west, 62 meters, 62 meters from north to south, 5 meters deep, and covers an area of 14,260 square meters. Rows of wooden pillared corridors were covered with wooden mats and earth up to ground level. The floors are paved with bricks, and both corridors and eastern pavilion walls are roughly 3 meters wide. The Terracotta Army stands within these corridors to date. Archaeological excavations have brought to light more than 1,000 pottery warriors. It is estimated that there are in fact about 6,000 terracotta warriors and horses buried inside. The seared ranks of 1.8 meter tall warrior figures are divided into teams of 4 facing east. Wooden chariots with 4 horses were deployed between them. In the front end of Pit 1, the 210 warriors carrying crossbows and bows formed the vanguard. Shoot. Alright, so somehow that kind of logged off. Back on though, and we're going to the next page. So, So I guess the camera is a little bit more sensitive than I originally remembered. Of the main formation, immediately behind them are 38 columns in 11 groups facing east, which consist of infantrymen and charioteers. The 2 sides of the formations are flanked, which face north and south respectively. On the west end of the pit, there are rear guards facing west. Most of the warriors in the main formation wear armor. They originally wore swords at their waists and held spears in their hands. And though wooden parts of these weapons have long since disintegrated, the soldiers' fingers are still curved to grasp them. The bronze swords and spearheads were found at the figures' feet. These warriors escorted chariots in the same manner that a modern infantry escorts tanks. Pit 2 is located 20 meters north of the east end of Pit 1. It is shaped like an inverted L, stretching from east to west, and 98 meters from north to south. Pit 2 is similar to Pit 1 in construction, but it contains an even greater variety of terracotta warriors. Welcome, Chinese brother, and everyone else to the live stream that's here. I'm glad you can make it tonight. We are on the tomb of the first emperor. Welcome, Scent of Love, and welcome back, Sydney Chow. Sorry that the connection's a little bit off tonight, but regardless, we will get through the 35th wonder of China. The cavalrymen are still leading their saddled and bridled horses. The archers carry either long bows or crossbows. Standing and kneeling, archers manned the front lines, while the chariots occupied the right flank and the cavalry stood on of inspected chariots and infantrymen. Pit 3 is the smallest of the three at only 520 square meters in size, contains 68 warriors and one chariot with 4 horses, and is thought to be the headquarters commanding warriors of at least the first 2 pits. Welcome. So this is the tomb of the first emperor Chinese brother, and this is the 35th wonder of China in this book. Let's see. Let's go over here. Welcome to the live stream. Glad you could join us tonight. Let's continue reading on the next page over. This underground army represents the Imperial Guard of the Emperor Shanghudi, who hoped that they would protect him in the afterlife. But he didn't foresee that these terracotta warriors and horses would offer us an invaluable source of material for the study of Chinese history. We can learn a great deal more about the culture, politics, art, metallurgy, and many other achievements of China based on the cultural relics and unearthed here. The variety of bronze weapons, for example, still sharp and shining despite 2,000 years of underground. Welcome ZJD15561 to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. Demonstrate the advanced level of Qing metallurgy. Chinese chemical analysis has revealed that the swords and arrowheads are primarily bronze and tin with traces of rare metals, and that their surfaces were treated with chromium. Besides the terracotta army, there were many new discoveries within the area of the emperor's mausoleum. In 1980, 2 sets of bronze chariots and 4 horses were unearthed near the mound of the mausoleum. Built at half-life size, these bronze chariots were buried here as the imperial transport for Shanghudi. In recent years, archaeologists have unearthed many new objects in the field excavation, including hundreds of pieces of stone armor and helmets in the shape of armor pit. Located near the tomb's mound, welcome Win 1966. I'm glad you could join us tonight for the live stream on the tomb of the first emperor. In another burial pit nearby, dozens of life-size pottery figures of acrobats give us a visualized description of imperial entertainment in the Qing dynasty. Bronze birds and pottery musician figures found in 2001 also gave us a picture of the imperial garden of that period. No Chinese archaeologists could tell you when the next astonishing discovery in the emperor's mausoleum may be and what may be unearthed. For there are so many imperial secrets buried there 2,000 years ago. Although we cannot excavate the emperor's actual tomb for conservation reasons, the huge number of cultural discoveries around it would be enough for generations of archaeologists to spend a whole lifetime's worth of excavating. And so we move on to the next page. If anyone has any questions or comments about the tomb of the first emperor, go ahead and post them in the comments section. We are now moving forward to the 36th wonder of China, the Great Wall. But before we do so, there are a couple pictures in this section that we can look at. The first picture that we're looking at here is a cavalryman and his horse within the tomb. Right here, our next picture is a terracotta warrior on his knees, kneeling. Over here is a group of soldiers in the main formation, while some are damaged, mostly because of the wear and tear over time of being clay figures. On the previous page, what we've got is the size of Pit 1 alone. As you can see, Pit 1 has one of the largest collections of these terracotta warriors. And just up here in the in this section of the page is the size of Pit 1, Pit 2, Pit 3, and another unfinished pit that they are currently digging up in coordination with what they've found so far. The previous page we have the first emperor of China in his nice little smiling pose right here. And to the very bottom, what we have here is thusly the mound in which the emperor may be buried under, which cannot be excavated due to reasons for conservation of said mountain for the natural environment surrounding. Now, we'll move forward to our next section, the 36th wonder of China, the Great Wall. Right here. And welcome Sandra A61, and welcome everyone else who joins the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. So let us move forward and begin. Alright, so I don't know why this is sideways, but the quote at the top of the page says, "It is probable that no existing monument of human intellect and skill has so captured and held the imagination of people of all nations as has the Great Wall of China." I. Newton Hayes, The Great Wall of China, 1929. So, I'm going to actually retake the picture here so that you guys can better read what the page actually has to offer. Let's get better camera quality. Alright. We're going to be waiting 2 seconds. Welcome Nina to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. We are on the Great Wall of China. I'm glad you could join us, and I hope you enjoy our section, the 36th wonder of China on the Great Wall. Welcome CAC to the live stream. Enjoy your time with us tonight. We will begin reading at the top. Long before the first decades of the 20th century, there was no doubt in the minds of young and old that China was a country of walls, or that her greatest man-made achievement was a 5,000-kilometer long brick wall that stretched from end to end in her northern border. By the end of the 20th century, other facts about the wall were widely known. At no time in history did a continuous wall extend from Gansu province in the west to form Manchuria in the east. The circuitous line that marks the location of the Great Wall on maps at no time coincided with China's northern border. The wall is not, as had often been said, visible to the naked eye from the moon. The wall was the ultimate symbol of enclosure of pre-modern sedentary China from the world of barbarian nations outside. In Chinese, the Great Wall is called the Long Wall of 10,000 Li. Thank you for the donation, Chinese brother. Welcome to the live stream, Nina OC7. Welcome, Lin Lin 611. Welcome, Ted C53. These English know me. I don't know it. So, Chinese brother, I can gladly send you the script afterward, the text from this book, and if you want to, we can have a private lesson and learn a little bit more about. I can teach you English to help you out. Let's see. So back to the reading. Each remaining piece of the wall has been studied and analyzed. Treks along it have become fashionable destinations for bold travelers. The height, which size and composition of bricks, number of layers from bottom to top and across, position and configuration of watchtowers, way in which troops were quartered and warning signals varied according to the terrain and anticipated matter of attack to each pass, each wall portion between. The first piece of the wall associated with the Great Wall is believed to date from the 7th century BC to the time of China's spring and autumn period during the next several centuries. Contending states constructed their own defensive barriers, often joining desperate wall parts. ... Wait 1 second, guys. The camera last time took a sideways picture of the script, but that makes it that much better to read now. Here is the next page. We're also going to put it on the screen. It's taking 1 second to load. A little bit longer than I want to, but come on. Alright. Come on. No. Alright. So we are reading the 70 Wonders of China. Thank you for the concern, Chinese brother. The script is finally back up, and we can read together. And watchtowers that existed from the earlier times, each of the 7 states, Chao, Qing, Wei, Han, Zhao, Yang, and Qing, that would be unified under the first Chinese emperor. And many of the smaller kingdoms had its own mud brick wall. In the 4th century BC, the threat of invasion and pillage by the Xiongnu and other northern tribes was so intense that fortifications of Zhao, Yang, and Qing became more systematic, but each wall was still individual to the state. with unification in 221 BC under China's first dynasty, Qing, by the man who called himself First Emperor Qing Shi Huangdi, our current concept of the Great Wall came into being. Together with the unity of written language, currency, weights and measurements, and a national communication system on horseback, the first emperor promulgated the connection and strengthening of walls of all those states he had conquered along China's northern border, sometimes tearing down pieces and ... Alright, so I actually do like the history of China. I think the history of China is very interesting. I myself don't have the best knowledge of the history of China, but I do have a basic knowledge of it. I'm glad you asked. So, yeah, so this is not necessarily a history book of China, but this is a book about the monuments in China, such as the Great Wall and the first tomb of the Emperor. And right now, alright, so I'm glad you asked. Overall, so let's move forward to the next reading. Oh, so promulgate basically means something like initiate, start. Promulgate means that you start something. Say that I promulgate a project. I start a project. In the case of promulgate, that means you're starting something that continues a long time. The Great Wall of China was a continuous on and off building project throughout much of Imperial Chinese history. Welcome 903 and welcome S to the live stream. I'm glad you both could make it tonight. And I hope you both enjoyed the 36th wonder of China, the Great Wall. Reconstructing them more sturdily than before. New wall parts and towers were added with the goal of continuous barrier to protect China's northern frontier. Just one of innumerable building projects, including palaces in replica of those of conquered states and the first emperor's own infamous mausoleum east of the modern-day Xi'an. Initiated during the emperor's 11-year reign, masses of conscript laborers died in its construction. Completion of the Great Wall was not an ambition of the 400 years of Han rule. With a 14-year interim in the early 1st century that followed the Qing, but portions were added, in some cases, in parallel sets along China's northern border that to aid in defense against the ever-present northern tribes. Most dynasties, states or kingdoms that ruled northern China between 3rd and mid-13th century repaired or mended wall parts or built walls of their own. Welcome Better Me 411. I love your username. Let's all go after a better me. But none with the vigor of the Qing or even Han. One exception was the Tang, which at its height in the 7th and 8th centuries extended its influence to territories that had formerly posed a threat to China. I'm definitely considering coming to China, especially after this, especially after starting the Palfish live stream. but at the moment I'm going to have to probably wait a little bit to get enough money to start going to China. Another exceptional dynasty in terms of wall construction was the Mongols, who made no significant changes or additions to the wall. This was in contrast to the northern non-Chinese dynasty Jin, which had built fortifications to prevent the encroachment of other northern tribes, and Jin's predecessors, the Liao dynasty, which had maintained parts of the wall and added sections at China's farthest northeast portions in Heilongjiang to block the advance of groups including those who formed the Jing dynasty. Welcome 1521 1597 098 to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. Thank you for the donation. I'm very pleased to have it. The century of Mongolian rule associated with the one wall structure, Cloud Terrace, was erected and carved in 1345. The white marble archway, originally part of a larger fortification, stands 9 kilometers south of the strategic pass through the wall. Zhugang, the battling mountain range just beyond it, the underside of the archway presents relief structure of Buddhist deity passages from Buddhist stupas, and an inscription in the 6 most common languages of the Mongolian Empire: Chinese, Sanskrit, Tibetan, Mongolian, Uyghur, and Taigut. So, the last of the language of the Xixia kingdom, which ruled northern Asia from 1038 until the Mongolian conquest. The next dynasty after the Qing that engaged in serious construction and rebuilding of the Great Wall was the Ming. Like Qing, their purpose was strategic defense. Also like Qing, the Ming had an official pro-wall construction policy, building of a stronger wall than had ever existed in ... So, I myself have not studied a lot of Chinese history in college, but do like it at the moment. So, pleased to meet you, Wang Suzhou. I'm glad Chinese brother mentions. Yep. Anyway, let's go on to the next little section here. That's not it. Alright, so this page is divided into 2 parts. Let's see. Thank you, Nina, for the invitation to come to China. I would like to come in the future, but currently I have to save up a little bit of money before coming to China. Welcome back, D54, to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. And let's continue forward with the Great Wall. Earlier times was ordered by the first Ming Emperor, Zhu Yaozhang, and continued in earnest for nearly another 150 years. Ming military organization, in fact, placed significant focus on the Great Wall. According to the imperial order, a continuous wall of approximately 6,300 meters was to be built at China's northern border from the Hexe corridor in Gansu to the Yulu River in the northeast. The territory was divided into 9 regions, each with its own fortresses, watchtowers, and strategic passes, each under the supervision of a military commander, who received reports from sub-commanders and who himself reported directly to the Emperor's Minister of Defense. Welcome, Stephen 393. I'm glad you could be here tonight. Let's see. So, let's see. I am from the United States, and I am in Victorville, California, specifically. Um, I'm not sure if he was a handsome guy, but we'll see. The closest China had come to a continuous wall was at this time, each piece of the wall averaging 1 meter in breadth and 5 meters high, which, if placed end to end, would exceed the equator in length. The majority of the wall that still exists dates from the Ming period. So, Stephen, I am on the Great Wall of China. Specifically, I'm talking about the building of the Great Wall of China during the Ming period. So, that's basically what I'm talking about right now. And we are on the bottom paragraph of the shown reading, starting at the last Chinese dynasty. The last Chinese dynasty, the Manchu Qin dynasty, also had an official policy concerning the wall, but a very different one. The second Qing ruler, the Kangxi Emperor, promulgated conclusion with the numerous northern peoples and tribes, of whom the Manchu themselves were one. Neither the Kangxi Emperor nor his successors built or repaired the wall. Welcome 4D5 and welcome USA30 to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. I cannot answer a question very well in Chinese or Mandarin text, but let us move forward to our next section. The fortress and other architecture at strategic passes along the Great Wall punctured China's northern defense systems through 2,000 years of warfare and provide the captivating imagery that has made the wall famous. About a dozen are universally known in China by name and image, and outside of China by image. At least most famous are Shenghang at the eastern end and the Jingyonggong in the western of China. Welcome, Rachel, to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. Welcome, Ning Begin, to the live stream. I like the sleeper side on the end over there. I hope you enjoyed this section on the Great Wall of China. Under northern Qi rule, a fortress stood at Shenghonggong near Hebei province's border with Lingning at the Boha Sea. The famous gate and adoring wall seen today were begun in 1382 with... Oh, wait a second. I'm on the wrong... I have the wrong page put up here. guys. Let's fix that. Alright, welcome Tyler Foucault to the live stream. We are under the second paragraph of this section, starting at under Northern Qi. Under Northern Qi rule, a fortress stood at Shenghagong. Welcome back, Neo Begin, to the live stream. Near Hebei province's border with Liaoning at the Bohe Sea. The famous gate and adjoining wall seen today were begun in 1382 with additions in 1551 and 1571. Shenghagong is also famous as the starting point of the barrier of willows or poplars. 1950 kilometers of trees planted by the Qing as a symbolic deterrent through Liaoning and Jilin provinces for non-Manchu tribes in the far northeast. Its greatest fame, however, is acronymic. Lady Ming Jiang went to the wall in search of her husband, a conscripted laborer, only to learn that he had died in his toils. Her tears caused the wall to crumble, and from the rumble emerged her husband's corpse, allowing her to take him home for proper burial. This legend may date to the spring and autumn period, and was not recorded until the Tang dynasty. In the Ming, the story was placed at Shenghagong, where the temple and tomb were built for Lady Ming. Welcome, Peter, to the live stream. I am glad you could join us today. So, Nina asked the question, are there any famous buildings in California? Well, nothing as famous as the Great Wall. So, that's quite a problem, Chinese brother. It's quite a bummer that he died. But, as far as structures, and going back to Nina's question, as far as famous structures in California go, there is the Golden Gate Bridge. Welcome, Judy, to the live stream. Glad you could join us tonight. So the Golden Gate Bridge is in San Francisco. It stretches from one end of the bay to the other, and basically connects two halves of San Francisco to each other. Currently, it's also a toll bridge, but that's another story entirely. California also has the Winchester House, where Lady Winchester continuously kept building a house in order to ward off Native American spirits from killing her. Another famous structure in California would be Willie's Castle in the middle of Death Valley, where there was this guy. Willie was basically was a con artist of the early 20th century who used his fame and fortune from the days of being part of the Wild West Buffalo Bills Wild West show to build up this nice castle called Willie's Castle, where he basically created a false identity, and even led early tourists to the place. It's kind of like a weird place because it kind of celebrates the achievements of a really good con artist. Welcome TCH and welcome 4D5. Right now I'm addressing the question posted by Nina, who's asking about famous buildings in California. There's one castle that is at the tip of my tongue. It was built in the early 20th century by a newspaper giant who basically had a huge newspaper empire that gave him the resources to build. I think it's not quite Huxley Castle, but that's the name that's popping up. But this castle has stuff like a giant pool, its own theater, and its own. It has a giant theater, a giant pool, a lot of statues, and so forth inside. Welcome Henry Common, welcome Dream, and welcome Almira to the live stream, and welcome Ping Pong. I love your title there. So this is our section on the wonders of China, and we are on the Great Wall of China. We have one last page to go to. I guess feet are better than books. So, oddly enough, here's a foot right here. So, if feet are better than books, so we have one last page to go to right here for the Great Wall of China. We won't be able to get to our next section, which is the Ming tombs, given that we have only 10 minutes of live stream left. But we can at least finish what we are on right now. Jingyunggong was also constructed in the Ming Dynasty, but near 2nd century BC, wall remains from a Han commandery. Pieces of a Han fortress can be seen alongside this best preserved portion of the Ming defense system. Surviving at Jingyunggong are the citadel with defensive pass. Attached to the wall and beyond it as a protective curtain for a gate chain, an outer wall beyond the main wall that must be penetrated before the main defense region can be encroached, and watchtowers intended to stand every 10 li along the wall, so that smoke or other signals of approaching attack could be sent forth. Sometimes equally exotic, and in all cases well preserved, are wall remains at Bangzing, at Liaoning, Gubekou, Benglang, and Yongli in Hebei, Dangtong, and Yangmenggong in Shanxi, Hongate in Inner Mongolia, Songongkong in the Helena Mountains, and Gongyang fortifications of Ningxi and Yongmenggong in Gansu. Immunity, the Great Wall, is the structure through which China has defined herself to the world beyond her borders. Welcome Yash Zhao to the live stream. If you have any questions or comments about the Great Wall or structures in general, Nina asked about the structures in California earlier. There are a few, but nothing as popular as anything like the Great Wall. Go ahead and ask in the comments. For now, let's go through a couple pictures. This bottom picture is basically the length of the said Great Wall, stretching from the Yellow Sea inland across Inner Mongolia to the north. Right up here is a section of the Great Wall itself, probably the most famous section of Great Wall since it's well preserved. On the next page back here, we have a picture of the Great Wall of China hitting the Yellow Sea right here. Probably smell the sea from here. You really liked it. Down here, we see soldiers. We see people building structures for the wall. You can see them making the mud bricks and so forth with the mortar and mixing patterns. Just over here is a map showing the garrisons that were organized during the Ming Dynasty along said Great Wall. It's a little blurry, but there it is. You can tell where the Yellow Sea is and the rest of the ocean in comparison to it. It's a little difficult to read, but it's there. Welcome back, S, to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. And right here actually is the most famous section of wall that has the most pictures taken of it. This section is the restored section of the Great Wall outside Beijing, the greatest tourist area. Alright, so that's pretty cool, Chinese brother. So I'm glad you're finding a way to understand the live stream with your translation software. It's mostly accurate, but if you want copies of the text and reading, I can definitely send them to everyone here so that you can read on your own in the future. One last picture at the bottom here. The first emperor of China, in all of his glory, drawn down. So, we have 4 minutes left, which is not really enough time to start a new section or really finish a page. But as a fair treatment, our next 37th wonder of China are the Ming tombs. Tomorrow we will start on the Ming tombs, and we will go through and probably start, if not end, on the Labrang Yellow Hat Monastery right over here for tomorrow's reading. And just in between, it would be the Leisha Great Buddha and Caves in western China, along the mountains next to Afghanistan. So, I am also publishing this on another social media platform, YouTube, if you want to hear the live stream again. So, actually, let's go over here. Here is an inception of YouTube via Palfish as a sample of what's going on. Wave to the camera we will, so you can just tell our smiling face there. Alright. So, I will be doing another live stream tonight at what amounts to be 11 p.m. my time, or 2 p.m. China time, and you are all welcome to come if you want. If not, you don't have to. It will be a very brief stream as far as the material covered in said live stream. But you're still welcome to come. I might do another live stream my morning time in the local area, and for sure I'll be doing the 70 Wonders live stream at the same time tomorrow, 11 a.m. China time. Welcome to the live stream, the both of you. I'm glad you both could make it tonight. Tomorrow's topic will be the Ming tombs, and if you guys have any comments about tonight's live stream or what you want tomorrow, go ahead and say so. Welcome Roger Song to the live stream. I am glad you could join us tonight. I am, let's see. If you want any copy of the text, I can send it to you via the Palfish app so that you can read on your own. And if you want to read ahead, send me a text as well, and I'll send you at least the next 3 wonders um, by the Palfish app as well. I do have a WeChat account. If anyone's on WeChat, you can add me or find me there, but that's up to you. So, as of right now, I am going to say good night, and for you guys, have a good lunch or lunch break, and enjoy the rest of your day. And for everyone else watching, this is the end of the live stream. Apparently, our live stream's health is very much eclipsed by what else is going on around us, and most of this has been in bad health for some reason. I don't know why the setting is bad here, but it is. But we can surely fix it later. But for now, have a good night.